this is Tom from anti-proton.com, and I'm here today to answer a question from AwakenamI. AwakenamI asks, will her Geiger counter or anybody else's Geiger counters be able to pick up stuff from Japan, and I would assume maybe other things as well. Apparently she has an industrial Geiger counter of some variety, she said, and she referred to it being military, so perhaps she has something like a CDV 700 or something like that. So I wanted to get you a little bit of a rundown on this, okay, because I've seen some videos about this. There was a video earlier that I commented on where somebody said the Geiger counters could only pick up gamma or some such nonsense. So let me get a little bit more specific. Alright, I have a Geiger counter that can read alpha, beta, gamma, and X-ray. Let's go through some Geiger counters. Old-fashioned Geiger counters from the days of yore. I'm talking about the old civil defense Geiger counters. They were yellow. The yellow box, like a shoebox, had a handle on the top and the probe mounted onto the handle. Okay, you get the idea? Metal handle, tube thing. All right, looked like it had a giant tampon attached to the top of it. I mean, that's what it looked like, right? So basically, they were banana yellow. They were made by, what is that company? Anton, Victorine, whatever. There's several different manufacturers of them. They were made for years. They ran off of 4 or 2D batteries. Some use special batteries. Those things could detect gamma rays. And if you twisted the end on the little detector so that the window was opened, you could see, well, you could detect beta emissions too, which are energetic electrons, okay? And they probably would never detect alpha. If you put them on an incredibly strong alpha source, there's a slight non-zero probability that they might 1 time or 2 times click on it. But realistically speaking, you are not going to detect alpha with a CDV 700. CDV 15s are even worse. If it ticks, somebody told me this once. Well, I mean, I know this to be true, but somebody said it to me in this funny way one time. Somebody said, if a CDV 715 ticks once, you're dead. Which isn't really true. It's not like the range on it's that horrifying, but if it ticks, you probably already have acute radiation sickness. CDV 700 was able to measure everything from 0 all the way up to 50 milliroentgens. So, or Rankins, depending on how you pronounce it. Just don't call them Roentgens or anything like that. They're Rankins. You roll your R's like you're German, but we're not German. Well, yeah. So, anyway, CDV 700 was perfectly fine for these sorts of things. It emitted an electrical pulse out of the little speaker cable. If you took a wire that would fit and work inside of the little speaker cable and you screwed it in, but instead of hooking it to a speaker, like an external speaker or headphones, if you fed that into a serial cable and then plugged that into like the USB in your computer or the COM2 port on your computer or COM1, whichever one you want, and then you let that be fed into software like I use Geiger, for example, for my Geiger counters, and because I'm part of the Radiation Network, radiationnetwork.com, but you don't have to use Geiger. There's lots of other software. I just like that one. Anyway, what they do is they measure the tick, 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 tick per minute. It doesn't tell you the energy, but it tells you that it happens. If you put something like that and expose it to the air, expose the little probe to the air, then over time you will get a baseline. Like my baseline in my house is where I do my Geiger counter readings is 14 counts per minute. Oh, it goes all over the place. I've even hit 36 counts per minute before, but it averages always to 14. When trace radiation goes over you, it goes up a little. Like, for example, a couple days ago, I think I reported this on YouTube, there was supposed to be a cloud going over our house. There was a huge rainstorm and all this stuff, and I kept my Geiger counter running for 2 or 3 days previous to this, 14 counts a minute, a huge statistical average of 14, massive long period of time. That's like, 20 to 30,000 counts or something like that, and out of all of that, it averaged out to 14. That's pretty damn statistically accurate. But then, I shot up to 15 counts per minute. 1 count per minute more when you're just walking around tick, 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 tick is no big deal. It goes all over the place. But over hours and hours and hours of statistical data, it makes a big difference. It is standard deviation after standard deviation away from the norm. All right? Big deal. Okay, CDV 700 can measure that. Can measure that, yes. You can get the CDV 700s that have alpha probes on them that allow them to sniff alpha particles. They call it sniffing. It's detecting, really. But You can get the attachment on the front, the modified version. I can't remember what version of it's the CDV 700 version 6 with the big tube thing in the front. I forgot what that's called. It's the modified one. Anyway, there are also modern day Geiger counters, like for instance, the Rad Alert, Inspector EXP, CRM 100. What is it? The Geiger. There are bunches of these little things. Oh, can't forget the Gamma Scout. All these modern day digital ones have little Geiger-Müller tubes in them. The bigger ones do, like mine. And they can usually measure everything. They almost always have a thin mica window on them, so they're able, or even a pancake Geiger-Müller tube, so they're fully capable of measuring all of that stuff. And given a statistical trend, they can measure the fallout. If you're in America, if you're in Japan, you walk right over the freaking ground and stick it on there. I've seen piles of videos of people doing that, and it seems to work pretty well. And I've been observing monitoring stations on the radiation network, and I can actually look at their data because I'm a member of the network, and I can actually see this stuff. It's pretty bad. But then you have little tiny ones like watches and things like that, the little dosimeters and stuff like that. They are not so good at doing that. Some of them don't really work on the same principles. Pardon me, I have my irradiated soda to drink. Alright, well, there's my iodine for the day. Anyway, basically put, to answer your question, if your device is calibrated, and that is dead important that it's calibrated, it'll work. If it were miscalibrated, it would still produce a number that would be high or low, but really wrong, but you'd still notice a difference in the trend, even if the number was wrong, right? Okay, if your speedometer in your car was set 20 miles an hour faster than it's supposed to be all the time, then if you accelerated and went even faster, you'd still notice the difference in the change in speed, even though the baseline and everything would be wrong, okay? So, but if it's calibrated correctly, you'll get at least the right readings off of it, which is a good idea. So calibrate your machine, and there are many ways to do it. If you don't know how to calibrate your machine, I can give you a little bit of advice on the CDV 700 calibration. There are what they refer to as ghetto calibration, which is field emergency calibration using the operational check source, which is the damnedest of not good ways to do it. I should warn you, if you have a CDV 700, you have a 2.5 potentially millirem check source on the side of your millirem per hour check source on the side of your machine. You should be aware of that. But anyway, getting back to the point of it, yes, you can pick it up. Don't listen to anyone who tells you you can't pick it up, because math and science tell you that you can. Enough statistical information, you can measure it if the device is sensitive enough to notice the difference between it. Now, I guarantee you that if I just stood up in the air right now with my Geiger counter and held it up in the air, I would not be able to just somehow measure that there is Japanese fallout coming or not. Couldn't do it. No matter what it ticks, there's all kinds of factors. Baselines, what's in the wind at that particular moment, gamma bursts, every sort of thing prevents me from doing that correctly. That is why you have to have statistical trends. Statistical fluctuations. You get the idea, right? And, well, that pretty much answers your question, doesn't it? Well, anyway, so hopefully I cleared that up a little bit. Sorry, I'm in my car right this moment. I just get sick to death of some of those videos. You know the video. You know the videos. You've seen them out there with people saying, you can't detect anything with a Geiger counter. All the thousands of them that have been sold for the last 50 years that people have been using accurately to detect things isn't true. Wait, that doesn't add up. Of course it doesn't add up, because you can detect stuff with a Geiger counter. You can detect alpha, gamma, beta, usually. Sometimes you can't detect alpha if it's a crappy Geiger counter or an old one. But you know what, whatever. You can detect most of these things. And almost everything, including uranium that goes through alpha decay, also puts off gamma particles, which you could pick up even if your Geiger counter only got gamma. So, have I said enough in 10 freaking minutes? Oh my god. AwakenamI, hopefully that answers your question. And if it doesn't, you can ask me more questions and I'll attempt to also answer them, because that's what I do. Alright, this has been Tom from anti-proton.com. That is a little dash, not the word. Anti-proton.com. Bye-bye.